Thank you very much, and I'm very pleased to be among a distinguished panel, and from the audience it just seems that this is one of the most interesting sessions. Everybody wants to know, after 10 years, how has the Belt and Road Initiative helped countries? And let me say that international partnership is built on common and mutual interests. And when you take a look at the number of countries that are part of the Belt and Road Initiative, this is in itself a testament of the importance. Just last year we were in China celebrating the 10th year anniversary, and it was an opportunity for the different countries to present the projects that are on the Belt and Road Initiative. These projects, when you take a look at them, have promoted sustainable infrastructure, be it transportation, be it renewable energy, be it in terms of ports. So each project for every country, and that was what was presented, and Egypt is not an exception in this. It is consistent with national agenda, and it's consistent with the national strategic goals. So when you talk about accelerators with respect to pushing these projects, we can say that the Belt and Road Initiative has been, in many instances, an accelerator for pushing forward the national strategies. Something else which is quite interesting as of late, we also have different national and international initiatives which fall and actually complement the Belt and Road. For instance, if I look at China, there's the Global Development Initiative, also launched a few years ago, and so many of the projects there also push together with the Belt and Road. One of the key elements is also the financing, and a lot of the financing that are going to these projects have been development finance. You mentioned part of the ministry, which is international cooperation. It is the one that has to do with mobilizing development finance from international institutions. So when we take a look at Egypt's sustainable transport, when we look at our renewable energy, a lot of mobilization of resources to the private sector, development mobilization, so low-cost financing that has gone to the private sector to push this kind of investment. So once again, it's not just about the physical infrastructure, because when you're doing the physical infrastructure, you're also drawing in FDI, you're also drawing in more jobs. There's also an element of technology transfer. I look at the China-Egypt relationship, and we have an industrial zone for Chinese companies, and some of these companies are the ones that produce the solar panels. So we do have this localizing manufacturing, which is also coming alongside the initial Belt and Road projects. So I just want to leave a message for everyone. When we look at the Belt and Road, we should not just think of physical infrastructure, but we also have to look at the different dimensions that it has brought. And as the previous speaker has mentioned, it also has pushed collaboration among different countries. And once again, when we take a look at Egypt and China, the initiation of the discussion started with the historic visit of the President of China to Egypt in 2014. And also we have an MOU signed on the Belt and Road Initiative.
What are the emerging industries, most exciting areas, sectors of cooperation that you personally look forward to between China and Egypt very quickly?
So we have two aspects of the relationship. One of them has to do with investments and Chinese companies investing in Egypt. And then we have a development cooperation with China. And when we talk about the development cooperation, we, for example, in the area of health, labs, satellites, and also tech capacity building, all of this is on the development side. So this is a government-to-government relationship which has been with the Sitka, played a very important role in pushing the development agenda in Egypt. Also with China, we signed a debt swap a few years ago. So this is also something that we are moving ahead with. So this is on the development cooperation. So when we look at China, everybody's inspired by the development model of China, and therefore, when we talk about South-South cooperation, it's this development aspect is extremely important. And then on the investment and trade, this is the other leg, which is also significant because of the number of Chinese companies that are in this China industrial zone in Egypt, more than 150 companies, more than 10,000 jobs, and it's very multi-sectoral. Few qualifications. First, there is no, plan which is forced on countries. That's number one. So number two, it's voluntary. So it's there's not like a master plan which says this country does this and this country does that and that. So it's that needs to be taken into account. Number two, in terms of the financing, this is an ongoing global dialogue. We have the Finance for Development conference taking place in Seville on the 30th of June. This is a conference, a UN conference that takes place every 10 years, and it talks about development finance for emerging economies, for countries from the South. And the point is that we need less debt and more mobilization of private resources to do any of the projects that we're talking about. So the concept or the idea of the financing dilemma for countries to develop is something that is ongoing. It's part of a global dialogue, and it's up to the relationship between countries and international institutions to try and figure out ways to find low-cost financing modalities for these projects. So that's another point. So first, it's the country's ownership to design its project and be part of the bigger Belt and Road initiative. Number two, the cost of doing these projects is something that is on everybody's mind, and it's in the global scheme for so long. And number three, on debt itself, there are different initiatives to try and deal with the debt. And one of the key points in the Finance for Development is, do we have, for example, debt swap modalities that can be implemented, debt swap for development, debt swap for investment? Is there a way to bring in more private investment into these projects so that we can de-risk and blend, have grant component? So this is also a third leg. So my answer would be that it all depends on country. There's a lot of country ownership. As I mentioned, there is supposedly a consistency between what the country vision is, whether it's the 2030 or the economic and social development plans of countries, and where these different projects lie. For example, in Egypt, we have our nationally determined contribution with respect to renewable energy is 42% by 2030. So all the projects that we're trying to do and investments in the grid are to ensure that we meet our 2030 objective and goals, and this happens to be consistent with what's happening on the Belt and Road. So these would be my answers to many of these. I don't want to call them criticism, but maybe suspicion, or I would say there's an information gap. Let me agree with the professor that information gap means that we need to put out more information. We need to put out more examples. And by the way, the conference that took place here to celebrate the 10 years, each country provided what it is doing, and I think this is available. So sometimes, there are many questions, but sometimes there's not enough effort in people trying to figure out exactly what all of this is. So I'm very happy that you're having this panel so that we sort of close the information gap related to this initiative.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about these mega projects, involves years of negotiation on standards, on assessment of the impact on the environment, on employing locals, especially on electricity sector. But go ahead.
Yeah, but the thing is, in our case, for example, a lot of the projects, whether it's sustainable transport or renewable, have been financed by international institutions, and we would not be able to get this financing unless we were aligned with environmental standards and with ESG, whether it's the government or private sector that is getting these types of resources. So that's, again, a very important point. It depends where the money's coming from in order to support these projects.
Yeah.